What if I told you the US government once launched a secret, illegal war to destroy an organization, not because they broke the law, but because they fed hungry children? That they tapped phones, broke into homes, planted fake evidence, and authorized assassinations, all documented in a single book written by the man they were targeting. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is War Against the Panthers by Huey P. Newton. And over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly how the FBI, local police, and federal agencies tried to erase the Black Panther Party from existence. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this book was buried for decades, and why what happened in the 60s and 70s is still happening today.
Let's be clear about what this book actually is. War Against the Panthers isn't a memoir. It's a meticulously researched Ph.D. dissertation in the history of consciousness, submitted by Newton in 1980. But don't let the academic title fool you. This is a forensic audit of government repression. Newton spent years pulling declassified FBI files, congressional hearing transcripts, and court records to build an irrefutable case. He's not speculating, he's citing page numbers. The backdrop is 1966, Oakland, California, a time when police brutality, economic inequality, and systemic racism were suffocating Black communities. Out of that pressure cooker, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party. Their platform? 10 simple points: jobs, housing, education, an end to police violence. On paper, it sounds like basic human rights. To the federal government, it was an act of treason.
Here's the part most history classes skip. The Black Panther Party wasn't just about armed self-defense. By 1969, they were running over 35 community survival programs. Free breakfast for children fed tens of thousands of kids before school. They had free medical clinics, ambulance services, legal aid, and even a liberation school system. They were doing what the government refused to do. And that's exactly why they were targeted. J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, publicly called the Panthers the greatest threat to the internal security of the country. Not a foreign army, not a terrorist network, a group feeding children and teaching them about their rights. Newton's book makes it brutally clear. The government didn't fear guns, they feared empowerment. When you give people food, healthcare, and education, you give them the capacity to organize. And an organized poor community is the one thing a corrupt system cannot survive.
So, how did the government try to dismantle them? They launched COINTELPRO. That stands for Counterintelligence Program. On paper, it was supposed to track foreign spies. In reality, it was a domestic warfare operation against American citizens. Newton's research lays out the timeline. Starting in 1967, the FBI created special agents whose sole job was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the Panthers. These weren't investigations, they were sabotage campaigns. Agents were given quotas. They had to destroy chapters, turn members against each other, and ruin lives. Newton points out something chilling. COINTELPRO operated completely outside the law. No warrants, no oversight, no judicial review. It was a shadow police force funded by taxpayer money, answering only to J. Edgar Hoover. And the Panthers were the #1 target.
Let's talk about the actual tactics. Newton doesn't just say they were harassed, he documents the playbook. First, infiltration. The FBI planted informants inside nearly every major Panther chapter. These weren't passive observers, they were provocateurs. They pushed for violence, urged members to carry weapons in public, and fed false intel to create paranoia. Second, psychological warfare. Agents forged anonymous letters, making it seem like Panther leaders were secretly working with the police or stealing from the party. Trust evaporated. Chapters turned on each other. Third, economic sabotage. The IRS audited donors, banks froze accounts, employers were contacted and told not to hire Panthers. The goal was simple: starve the organization until it collapsed. And fourth, media control.
The FBI fed carefully crafted lies to newspapers and TV stations, ensuring the public only saw the Panthers as violent criminals, never as community organizers.
When sabotage wasn't enough, the violence turned lethal. Newton dedicates entire chapters to the assassinations that shocked the nation. Take Fred Hampton, 21 years old, chairman of the Illinois chapter. On December 4th, 1969, Chicago police and FBI agents raided his apartment at 4:45 in the morning. Hampton was in bed. An informant had drugged his drink. The police fired nearly 100 shots into the apartment. Hampton was shot twice in the head while sleeping. The official story claimed the Panthers fired first. Ballistics proved otherwise. Only one shot came from inside. The rest were police guns. Newton lays out the court records, the autopsy reports, the sworn testimony. This wasn't a shootout, it was an execution. And Hampton was just one of them. Bobby Hutton, just 17, surrendered with his hands up and was shot 12 times. Newton writes about these men not as symbols, but as friends, as brothers. And he forces us to ask, how many more died in the shadows with no headlines, no trials, no justice?
So why all this? Why the obsession? Newton's most powerful insight is ideological. The Panthers weren't just fighting for black rights. They were building what Newton called revolutionary intercommunalism. They believed oppression was global and that poor black, white, Latino, and indigenous communities shared the same enemy, a capitalist ruling class that profited from their suffering. They formed the Rainbow Coalition. They stood with the Young Patriots organization, poor white Appalachian activists. They allied with the Young Lords. They organized tenants, prisoners, and students across racial lines. Imagine that. In 1970 America, a black-led party was successfully uniting poor whites and minorities around shared economic dignity. To the establishment, that was terrifying. It meant the system's divide and conquer strategy was failing. Newton proves that COINTELPRO's true mission wasn't stopping violence, it was stopping unity. They had to break the coalition before it became a movement.
What makes this book unique is how Newton wrote it. He wasn't sitting in a quiet campus library. He was compiling these findings while living in exile, while facing decades of legal persecution, while grieving murdered comrades. Yet his tone is academic, precise, almost surgical. He lets the documents speak. He cross-references FBI memos with congressional testimony. He matches police reports with autopsy findings. He shows how local police departments like Oakland and Chicago coordinated directly with federal agents. He documents how the Justice Department turned a blind eye to illegal raids because the results aligned with their political goals. Newton doesn't need to scream. The paperwork screams for him. And that's why this dissertation is so devastating. It's not activism dressed as scholarship, it's scholarship that proves the activism was necessary. He turns the government's own archives into an indictment of its own democracy.
Here's the catch. Most of this stayed hidden for years. COINTELPRO was officially exposed in 1971 when activists broke into an FBI office in Pennsylvania and stole the files. But even then, the full scale wasn't clear. It took the Church Committee investigations in 1975 and 76 to force Congress to admit what happened. Newton's book came out in 1980, capitalizing on those declassified records. He notes something crucial. The government didn't apologize. They just got more careful. COINTELPRO was technically shut down, but the tactics survived. Surveillance moved underground. Informants changed names. Economic pressure became more subtle. Newton warned that these measures posed an ever-present danger of recurrence. And he was right. The playbook didn't disappear, it just evolved. And that's why reading this book today isn't just about history. It's about recognizing the same patterns in modern protests, modern surveillance, and modern political repression.
Let's be real for a moment. If you think this is ancient history, look at how dissident movements are treated today. Look at the monitoring of climate activists, the infiltration of racial justice organizations, the use of surveillance technology that would have made J. Edgar Hoover weep with joy. The targets change, the language changes, but the architecture of repression stays the same. Newton's dissertation forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. American democracy has always had a shadow side, a side that tolerates dissent only as long as it doesn't threaten the economic order. The Panthers challenged that order. They demanded resources, not just rights. They demanded community control, not just representation. And for that, they were declared enemies of the state. This book isn't just about the 60s. It's a mirror. It shows us what happens when a government chooses control over justice. And it reminds us that freedom isn't given, it's defended.
Newton ends his dissertation with a line that has stayed with me. Perhaps we shall never know the answers to these questions, but this inquiry will hopefully help us in our search for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's what this book does. It doesn't just tell you what happened, it teaches you how to look for the truth when power tries to hide it. If this video opened your eyes to a story you were never taught, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. There are too many buried histories, too many silenced voices, and too many uncomfortable truths waiting to be uncovered. Drop a comment below. What part of this shocked you the most? And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and never stop asking who really holds the power. I'll see you in the next one.